Okay, hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Adora Yin, and today I'm going to be sharing some of my study tips on how I got A stars in biology and chemistry for my IGCSE exams this year. But first off, I wanted to say a huge big thank you for all of the love and support on my results reaction video. I never imagined it to get that much attention. I think right now it has like 50,000 views or something crazy like that. So thank you honestly for encouraging me to continue making YouTube videos and stuff, and I'm glad that it inspired so many of you guys in the comments. I got a lot of requests to make study tips for how I achieved all that, and I wanted to make a full comprehensive guide, but obviously that can't all fit in one video, so I decided to make a little series, I guess. And for this video, the first one in the series, I'm going to be starting off with biology and chemistry. So the courses specifically that I took was biology 0610 and 0620 for chemistry. I think there's different variations, but it's all about the same, but yeah, just letting you guys know. But anyway, I grouped these two subjects together for this video because I feel like they're pretty similar in nature, somewhat, and I feel like everybody, well, most people that take biology also take chemistry and vice versa, so I was just gonna do it both in one go. I have an outline here of tips that I'm gonna be sharing today so that I don't get too off topic. But for me personally, biology and chemistry, they were one of the most, I wouldn't say most difficult to study for, but most annoying to study for sure, just because of the sheer amount of information that you need to know. But I hope this video can break it down for you, and hopefully you'll feel more confident about taking the exam by the end of this video, or like studying for the exam at least. But first of all, the most important thing that you need to do is to go on the Cambridge website and download the syllabus, okay? This syllabus is going to have literally everything you need to know. Like, everything is on there, okay? And the biology one is like 61 pages, the chemistry one is 59 pages, which sounds really scary, and I know it's really daunting at first, but I'm going to be breaking it down for you, so I hope it's not too scary by the end of this. Okay, but honestly, the Cambridge Exam Board organization is amazing for putting this document out, because it literally has every single thing possible that could come up on your exam. Okay, but the first thing you're gonna do when you download this document is to go to the third section, which is about subject contents. This is the most important section of all, okay? Like, honestly, you could ignore the first few bits and the last few bits. Honestly, they're pretty redundant, and it's honestly just exam info and stuff. But subject contents, it literally, like, it tells you everything that could possibly come up on the exam, which is why this was literally my holy grail. Like, I kept this document close to my heart. But basically, for the contents page, it's going to be sorted by the chapters of each subject. For biology, there's 21, and chemistry has 12 chapters. I know it's a lot of material, but hear me out, okay? This document has the exact definitions, the exact wording that you need to follow for your exam. So with this document, you'll be fine. So this is my secret to studying, but obviously it's not going to have all the answers for everything. It just outlines the different things you need to know and the depth that you need to know them. And it does give like the exact wording you can use for answers, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But basically, I used this document to help start making notes, and for every single chapter I started a new Google Doc in my Google Drive folder for the subject. So then my Google Drive folder has literally all the notes possible all in one place, and I also put some of my previous class unit tests inside the folder just for, you know, reference. Okay, I'm gonna talk about how I did my Google Docs notes, because honestly I'm very proud of it. Like, it sticks to the minimalist aesthetic but still gets all the points across. I honestly don't really believe in making fancy notes and everything like that. Like, sure, do what you want if that makes you happy, but ultimately, you're just trying to get the knowledge across. And if making it pretty, well, I guess my one is pretty, but honestly for me, I tried my best to not waste time on designing it and stuff. So I just stuck to like the main core and just basic formatting. I used Helvetica, my holy grail font. But anyway, from the Cambridge syllabus statements, I put in the exact heading and subheading, and I followed the same like number, I don't know what you call it, but it's just 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and this will show up on your doc outline really nicely so you can find it whenever you need it. And this was honestly the best way you can approach it because it's all listed in an order that makes sense. So to make my notes, I basically copied and pasted everything from the syllabus about that chapter, and I would expand on each point to the relevant depth that is needed. Honestly, don't waste your time going further than what you need to do, because that's not even going to get credited on the final mark scheme anyway. So just like stick to what you need to know for Cambridge. Like, obviously do your further learning if that intrigues you, but for the purposes of exams only, you don't need to do extra stuff outside of the syllabus. And basically for my notes, I would expand on each bullet point from the syllabus by using my textbook, my teacher's PowerPoints, but most importantly, my favorite resource was Save My Exams, which is basically just a website which has all the notes relevant to Cambridge and many different exam boards, but it was super helpful for Cambridge. I think you can get this for free, but it's limited. But what I did was that I got a 2-year subscription, which was honestly so helpful because the website itself prioritizes the Cambridge IGCSE exams, so the notes were literally amazing. There were some extra stuff in there for your further understanding, but what I would do is that I would read the entire note from Save My Exams, and then I would paste in the things relevant from the notes that are important for my exam and like ways that I could answer questions into my own Google Docs notes. You might ask, like, why wouldn't you just... Okay, my cactus fell off my desk just now, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm gonna clean that up later. Anyway, I need to finish this video. Anyway, you might be asking why you wouldn't just follow the Save My Exams notes and just study based off of that. I know some people who do that, and I guess that's the point of the website, but for me personally, like putting it into my own doc and, you know, formatting it in my own way, that helped ingrain it in my memory more. So I would recommend doing that over just looking at somebody else's notes, because the process of, you know, putting it into your own thing and rewriting it or making it even simpler for you to understand, I feel like that's a crucial part in, you know, learning the actual material. So I would recommend that over just purely reading the website's notes. But anyway, just doing this, okay, it's obviously going to take a lot of time than me just explaining how you're going to do it, since, you know, there's like, what, 30 chapters altogether for biology and chemistry, and there's obviously still going to be things that you might not know. So for instances where you still don't really exactly understand the material, obviously ask your teacher. Like, your teacher is there to help you. They get paid to teach you. So ask your teacher any questions that you don't know. And if you're on study leave or something, what I did was I relied very heavily on YouTube tutorials, which taught me so much. There's a few good channels that are really good for explaining concepts, and you should just find those channels that work for you. And I would say myself that the IGCSE subject depth, in terms of like how hard the knowledge actually is, it's not too bad, because this is still, like, if you think about it, it's more like an entry into the subject, whereas like IB or your A levels are going to be the real intense stuff. So this is more like an overview of the subject. It's more like on the surface, like knowledge on the surface. So it's just more of like breadth of knowledge and less of the depth. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if you try hard enough, you're going to understand it. So don't worry about that. Just like try your best, you know, and ask your teacher. So for my notes, as I said, I would keep the same formatting, and I used bullet points for everything, because why would you want anything in chunky paragraphs? Bullet points helped make it so much easier for me to read. I would bold certain things, and I would underline, use italics, and that honestly helped so much with my understanding, since you're looking for the keywords, you're looking for the key terms that you can apply to your actual answers in the exams, and these are the like key terminology that you need to use anyway. So bolding them and, you know, doing all of that, it's going to help you a lot in the long run. I also used a lot of highlight color coding, because I swear by this. Okay, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I feel like I memorize things a lot better with colors, and when you group things together using colors or categorize them, it helps your brain draw connections without you even knowing. So for example, if I had two things in the color blue, then I feel like I would subconsciously link them together, which is really helpful, because if you think about it, all of science is linked. But if we use the topic of photosynthesis in biology as an example, basically what I did was that I gave each like thing that's obviously not the term, but each like thing, like carbon dioxide, oxygen, water, sunlight, like I gave each of these different things a color, and then whenever I referred to that thing in the chapter, I would use the same color, so it would kind of ingrain in my head, and everything related to that thing specifically, I would use the same color. You know what I mean? So it really helps. And also, since respiration is the opposite of photosynthesis, you can use like opposite colors. I don't know if that's making sense, but it really helped me. And that's just one example of it. Like, honestly, all of science is based off connections, as I said. So this strategy definitely helped me a lot. And okay, other than that, a fun thing would be emojis. I have a lot of emojis in my notes. Not like crazy emojis, but just like, you know, fun things to spice up your notes. Like the tick emoji, the cross emoji, I use that so much. And yeah, I don't know, that could just help you if you're like me. Okay, and next, I use so many tables. Like, you need tables for everything in science, I'm telling you, because every different thing, there's gonna be different properties, whatever, that you can use tables for. And Save My Exams already has a lot of tables that you can reference, so I would most of the time use those, and I would add to that since you can't edit the notes directly in Save My Exams. So for example, states of matter in chemistry, that's the most simple one. It's literally the first chapter, but yeah, that's a simple example. And for subject specific tips, I would say for biology, you have to do so many biological diagrams, okay? Like, you have to put in the cell diagrams of everything, because these are the things that come up in the test. They're not always just gonna give you a paragraph question, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes they give you diagrams and you have to label them, you have to understand the diagrams. And how are you going to understand them if you've never seen them in your life? Like, you can understand all the theory you want, but you still have to apply that theory when you're actually looking at the thing. So I had to put a lot of labeled diagrams, and again, I would color code these, and this was really helpful when I was doing the digestion unit, since everything about that is basically in diagrams, as well as for the lungs, like for the gas exchange unit. That was so incredibly helpful. And also, you also need to know how to draw biological diagrams properly for your exams. So looking at these examples can also help you, and it'll help reinforce your memory in it as well. Okay, and for a chemistry specific tip, I would say you have to look at your periodic table, okay? So Cambridge, every time, every exam, every paper, they're gonna give you an exact periodic table, the exact same blank one. And what I did for my notes is that I annotated this periodic table, and I would bring this to every single class. I would reference it every single time I was studying for the exam. So my labeled version of the periodic table was kind of imprinted in my brain, and I had like color coding again and everything. So when I came to the real exam, like the color coding and all that, it subconsciously was ingrained in my head, okay? I'm back to this point, but I just need to further emphasize it. So I wasn't second guessing myself on what was considered a metal and what was considered a non-metal, because I literally had that in my head. And also, having this periodic table was really helpful for me to memorize the reactivity series, which you do unfortunately have to memorize for your exams, because I would remember the placement of the elements in the reactivity series on the periodic table, because it does follow a pattern, and I can put it on the board. I mean, I can put it on the screen for you to, you know, reference and do what I did if that's a memory tactic that works for you. But yeah, that helped me a lot, because in my exam, the first thing I did when I got my periodic table was that I would label it so that I don't forget, just in case. And okay, the other thing for chemistry is to draw many diagrams to show the structured and displayed formula of different things in organic chemistry. I would say that for many students, organic chemistry is definitely the hardest, since it's a lot more abstract and it's not like what you do in middle school at all. I don't think we ever talked about that in middle school. And for people that don't understand organic chemistry that much, seeing these diagrams can help you so much. Like, I drew so many of these when I was practicing, because there's just so many different types of things in organic chem. Sorry, I keep saying things, but my brain can't conjure up the scientific term anymore because I don't take it anymore. But yeah, there's so many different things, and it's all categorized and it follows a pattern. And once you start practicing drawing all these diagrams, you're going to start like figuring out the pattern just like within you. I don't know if that makes sense, but it just comes to you, you know what I mean? So hopefully that helps. Another like kind of general tip would be to link different topics together, because okay, this comes back to how I was saying that science is all connected. Like, different chapters, don't see them as separate entities, even though they're in different Google Docs. I only said that because you don't want a huge doc that's like 200 pages in length that you don't even want to touch. Like, for me, I separated it into different Google Docs because it helped me and it was nice to look at. But that doesn't mean that they're completely different topics, okay? So you have to relate each topic back to each other, because they're all connected in the end. For example, how I was saying that photosynthesis and respiration are so connected. And once you know one, you basically know the other. And the other thing is to think about the real world applications of what you're learning, because you're not just learning knowledge, okay? You're learning real things that are happening in the real life. And I know that as students, when we're fed theory, we kind of like, we forget that this is actually reality. At least that was the case for me. Like I don't know, it was kind of like disconnected. Like this was the world I'm living in, and these are the things I'm learning about. But in reality, this is meant to reflect this, okay? So you should connect it back to your real world, and this will also help you memorize things a lot better. Okay, now I'm going to be talking about the individual papers for the 2 courses I did. So my school made us do paper 2, paper 4, and paper 6, and I'm going to be talking about them separately. So paper 2 is pretty straightforward, multiple choice. The most important thing is that you have to do a lot of past papers because they all follow the same pattern. And in doing past papers, you're going to realize patterns in the exam board's techniques of even issuing out these questions. And once you do enough, you're just going to realize like their strategy and maybe like potential red herrings that they have in their answers for multiple choice and stuff like that. And also multiple choice questions, you have to read them very carefully, because in my practices I would always make the mistake of forgetting to like pay attention to the key words that completely can change a question's meaning. For example, if you have the qualifiers most and least and you don't read that carefully, you could literally know the entire concept and still get the question wrong and lose your marks just because you didn't read the question carefully, and you don't want that to happen to you. Okay, next paper, because I'm short on time, I'm going to be talking about the structured questions paper, which is paper 4. For this is also pretty straightforward, since it's kind of like reiterating what you have in your notes already, since it's all in structured format for your answers. But for calculations questions, obviously show you're working step by step, since partial credit is going to be awarded even if you don't get the final question right, and also you can trace back your calculations when you're double checking your answers. The other thing for when you're writing full answers, you have to use appropriate scientific terminology. Clearly I have not been doing that in this video, but use the proper definitions and terms that you wrote in your doc, and just say that all over again in your answers. Like once you say that and you list everything out, it's really straightforward. For some of my answers, I even listed them out in bullet points, since that made it more concise in my head, and I feel like it would also help the examiner out in marking my paper. So that could be something that could help you as well. And other than that, also include labeled diagrams where it is applicable, because these diagrams can help enhance your answer if your answer is not good enough. Okay, and finally for paper 6, our school did the alternative to practical paper. I know some schools did the actual practical paper, which is paper 5, but for our one it was just like a written practical, like brainstorming a practical and thinking about how you're actually going to do it in your head instead of actually doing it. I think our school did this because a majority of our secondary schooling was during COVID, so obviously we stayed at home and we didn't do practicals in the lab, so I guess our school teachers weren't very confident in our practical abilities. But honestly, I really like paper 6 because it's very straightforward. Once you understand everything, this paper should be super simple and intuitive, but still you shouldn't overlook it just because of that. But like, I just feel like out of all 3 of them, it's the easiest one. But for this one, I wrote down that the most important thing that you have to do is to familiarize yourself with all the lab equipment. And coming back to the syllabus, there's a specific section in your syllabus where it lists out every single apparatus, material, or reagent that you need to know for your course. And you have to make sure, you have to go down the list and make sure that you know every single thing, okay? And I know some of them, they're not as mentioned, or you don't use them that much in school experiments, but there's a chance that any of these could come up on the test. So make sure that you know the function of all of these. And sometimes in this paper, they also ask you which tool you should use. For example, like a measuring cylinder or a beaker. You have to know how to apply these different these different things to the exam. Okay, but basically those are the main tips that I have to share for IGCSE biology and chemistry. Although the biggest one that I forgot to mention is that you have to do as many past papers as possible, because Cambridge is an exam board that recycles questions. So once you do enough, you're gonna know their strategy. Like you could literally be Cambridge. And I'll be talking about this again and again in my other videos. But yeah, that's the most important thing. But anyway, I hope this really long video helped break biology and chemistry down for you. I really hope it helped, and I wish you guys all good luck in your IGCSEs. I know most of my viewers are either taking it this year or next year, And if you are taking it this year, I wish you good luck, best of luck in your mocks, which I'm guessing are happening after Christmas break for most schools. I'm going to be posting more videos, as I mentioned in my video series. I think I'm going to do one on physics, additional maths, English lang and English lit. Yeah, I think that's it. But do let me know if you have any other video suggestions or anything else that you want to see from me. And thank you so much for making it this far in the video. Also, please like this video so I know that you liked it and you appreciated my efforts in making this. Even though my cactus, my beloved cactus, the pot of the cactus broke and it's on the floor right now and I have to clean it up later. But yeah, leave a comment if there's any other questions that you have. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. You can DM me on Instagram if you have any specific questions, and I try my best to go through them. But yeah, apologies if I don't reply. But yeah, I'm gonna try my best to reply to your comments. Yeah, actually you can go check. I probably liked every single one. But yeah, okay. Anyway, all that's to say, thank you so much for watching, and again, good luck for your exams, and I hope it goes well. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye!